Hello everyone, this is Setwa Serenity. I'm Setwa, and welcome to my little oasis of peace. Let's dive into the soothing waters of tranquility together. Today I want to talk about toxic relationships and experiences. Just want to give a disclaimer that these are my experiences and how it was for me. I'm having an episode soon where this is discussed a little more in depth and with someone else's perspective, so stay tuned for that. As we all know, any type of relationship can be toxic. This can be romantic, platonic, friends, family members. It can happen to anyone. It's hard to break the cycle of toxicity because some people are master manipulators. I personally have or had a toxic mother-in-law. She's still with us. It's because we became no contact. So dealing with a toxic mother-in-law, it's very challenging. It's about maintaining boundaries and clear communication. It's essential to prioritize your mental health, emotional well-being, set firm boundaries, stick to them, even if it means limiting contact or seeking support from spouse, therapist, friends, or anyone that knows you personally. Just want you all to remember you have the right to protect yourself and your family from negativity, toxicity, and do not hesitate to prioritize your own needs in this process. It's important to approach the situation with a lot of understanding and recognizing when it's necessary to prioritize your own well-being instead of trying to please everyone else. I want to put that out there for anyone who needs to hear that because I remember that guilt and that longing to fix this relationship, but it took me a long time to realize that this relationship was long broken before I even came into the picture. Once I realized I would never be enough, that's where I decided to go no contact. My husband prior had been no contact, but I finally made that decision many years ago now, a few years ago. Can't say it was a long time ago, but it just feels like a long time ago. So I know that you guys sort of want to hear the tea on why that decision was made. I'm going to give you guys the main points of events that happened or anything that, fell into making this decision of going on contact. So from the first meeting, I noticed she didn't like me based on my background. I'm Dominican, Puerto Rican. She didn't like that. That was the first time we met. She was telling people that I liked my husband's cousin and his brother. She was spreading that rumor around, which will come up in a lot of these points where she spread a lot of rumors about me. Another rumor that went around was that I had an STD because she found out I was taking antibiotics for a urinary tract infection, a UTI. They had a black cat who apparently was a very mean cat to everyone, to strangers, mostly everyone who walked into that door. That black cat did not like anyone. But from day one, she was so sweet to me. Super sweet. She was a sweetie. She was a sweetheart. And apparently this labeled me as a witch. She would lie about conversations that her and I would have in private. Sometimes she would tell me about her day or something that was going on with my sister-in-law. And when I would try to kind of tell my husband, give him a little insight about it, I didn't know at the time, but my husband was confronting her about some of these things, and she would lie about any conversation. She would say that me and her never spoke and that she doesn't know what I'm talking about. I quickly realized I couldn't be a part of that. She would tell people that my marriage with my husband wasn't real since it didn't occur at a church. One day she called my husband to inform him, and I'm quoting this. She told him, "Your wife is sleeping with your cousin." And this was simply because at the time I didn't own a car. I didn't drive at the time. And sometimes I still visited her even against my husband's wishes because I felt like him going no contact was a bit harsh. But I still tried to maintain the relationship because my husband has two brothers who are younger than him and his youngest sister. So it wasn't just her, it was other people as well. So simply because my husband's cousin would pick me up and take me to my mother-in-law, this sparked a rumor that I was sleeping with him. She told people that I was with my husband for money, even though I had met my husband when we were in high school. We had met prior to that, like we've known each other since we were little kids, but we officially started dating in 2011, and we both didn't have jobs. So it didn't really make sense that I was with him for money when neither of us was working. She would tell people that I was adding period blood to the food I would cook as a way to perform black magic and control the people around me. She said that I broke her family apart. While I was pregnant, my first pregnancy, I was at her home visiting for my brother-in-law's birthday. She had thrown a party for him and we had all gone. At the time I was pregnant, so a lot of things really grossed me out, or I was really going through it with morning sickness, but I still made the effort to go because again, she did invite us, so I wanted to go. She was passing out cups for everyone to drink water, soda. She went into the cabinet and passed me a dirty cup. I honestly I felt bad for myself, for what she was doing, because everyone else, she passed them like a plastic cup or a clean cup. I was the only one for some odd reason that got a dirty cup. So fast forward 12 years later, she's still friends with people that know my husband or has been there in his life. So fast forward 12 years later, she still tells people that I have my husband under a spell that forces him to stay with me and not speak to her. Of course, there was a lot of other things that have been said throughout the years, or drama that we've had to deal with, and a lot of situations where I completely gave up. I even told her at some point, because I just couldn't take it anymore, that I don't think she could ever meet our future kids. My husband was there. He was always the harsher of the two. I at least try to empathize, sympathize with her, and she was a single mom, I tried to give her the benefit of the doubt all the time. My husband was not so kind, but I was, until I understood that she probably has narcissistic tendencies, and as we know, people who have narcissism, it's very rare for them to be genuine, be like selfless. This led to my decision going little to no contact. She has not met the boys, my two boys. We just feel like that's safer emotionally for us. Just the thought of her meeting the boys and knowing that our kids have to win her affection rather than naturally it be given, breaks my heart. She doesn't really ask for them. She only asks how are they and stuff when she's in passing, trying to text my husband when she needs something. She always texts when she needs something. My husband keeps her number unblocked only because he has a younger brother on the spectrum, and every once in a while he has a crisis and he wants to make sure that if anything happens, he's well aware of it. But other than that, he ignores any and all contact when she asks, how are you? How are the kids? And she will proceed to ask for a favor, money, something. It never really fails for her to ask something. It used to be me, and I eventually told her, hey, I really think you should text your son because I do not have the answers to the questions and for the favors that you're asking. It was hard through those years. Initially, there was a lot of gaslighting, a lot of her being the victim, turning people against me who knew my husband, who's been there for my husband through the years. Initially, when my husband moved out, he didn't want to go see her. I would tell him, like, Hiro, please understand, you can't just move out and not go see her. We live less than a mile away from her. It's pretty hard to ignore. He insisted that he just didn't want to see her and that he doesn't understand why I was trying so hard. I was just thinking about our future. I was thinking about whenever we had kids. I now understand where he was coming from, and he has his own trauma with his mom and everything he went through with her growing up. He knew from a young age she wasn't his favorite person, which is sad. I have to admit, it's sad to go through your whole life in survival mode because you felt your mom wasn't mature enough or had the emotional intelligence to be a mom, be a parent, a reliable parent. Because that's something that he would tell me all the time, that her lack of being unreliable, and lacking any sense of time. She would forget them at school. She would gaslight them, her mood swings. I understand mental health is a real thing, but my mother-in-law denies any and all of her mental health issues. Even when she would bring it up and say, oh, I do have problems, I need to go see someone, or I'm seeing someone for this, and this was either not true or we can never confirm. She kept a lot of things hidden, so it's odd to know someone for as long as I knew her and feel like I didn't know her at the same time. I sometimes ask my husband, like, hey, what's something that, that you remember with your mom growing up? He doesn't recall a lot. In terms of her personality, hobbies, her as a person, he doesn't recall a lot. He only recalls all the negative side of growing up with her and being raised by her. So there's not much to comment on when it comes to that. Nothing I did was enough. Everything I did was bad. There was a lot, like I said, a lot of situations that made me really question where her mental health and emotional intelligence was and showed me what she lacked in that department. Even to this day, most of her kids don't talk to her. My brother-in-law, who's on the spectrum, is with her because obviously she's his caretaker, but the other 3 kids, including my husband, do not really speak to her, or if they do, we wouldn't know, because again, my husband is also estranged from his siblings due to a lot of lies that have accumulated over the years, and this really broke them apart. It's sad, but we deal the way that we deal. We've been through this for a few years, so it's nothing new. I do keep in contact with his sister as a courtesy because I did care about her. I did care about all of them, and I try to keep a civil conversation, make sure she's okay, and I keep distance. I do have my wall, I have my boundary, and I try to keep it as civil as I possibly can. What can I say? It's interesting to me coming from a background where my mom and my dad kind of promoted family and togetherness all the time. We may not have been the most affectionate kind of family, but our actions spoke louder than words. And family, in a sense, is important to me. I also think it's important to choose your own family. I have friends that I would consider family and I'm very close to. I have my inner circle. I socialize with a lot of my friends, and I try to surround myself with a lot of supportive, positive people. Of course, as many other families, we have our arguments, we have our toxicity in its own way. But again, I'm very firm on my boundaries. Like, it was something I did tell my mother-in-law at some point when it was the situation where she tried to make me out as the bad guy, or again, as usual. And I told her, I'm like, hey, not for anything. I already have a family that loves me. I'm with your son because I do actually love him. I do actually care about him. But at the end of the day, I don't see why you have all this hate for me. And even though I'll never understand that, I'll still continue to be here for Hiro. So that doesn't change. My husband agreed. He's very much supported a lot of my quote-unquote arguments with her, because we wouldn't really argue. I would talk, she would argue, raise her voice. I always tried to keep a very calm tone. It was very rare for me to lash out, raise my voice, or anything at all. I never tolerated a lot from my family, my own parents. I was always stubborn growing up. I was that kid, questioning everything, sort of questioning authority. I wasn't the kid that if you told me, oh, you need to listen to me, I'm your mother, or I'm your father. Why? I always wanted to know why, who, what, where, when, why. So I liked having intellectual conversations, and conversations where, okay, you can't do this because X, Y, and Z. I needed to know why. If it didn't make sense to me, I needed it to be explained. Why did I have to do chores and not my younger brothers? There was a lot of strikes in my day. I understand I was a pretty difficult kid. I stood by my beliefs to this day. So remembering that and knowing that about myself made it hard to quote unquote tolerate my mother-in-law. Because if I was already like that with my family, where it was a non-negotiable, my boundaries were non-negotiable. My beliefs at the time weren't easily swayed. How can I let someone outside of that try to destroy that part of me and chip away at my walls and my defense? I just couldn't allow it, and chose my emotional safety and my mental health over trying to fix things. Not everyone needs to be in contact with family or people who add negativity and toxicity. If you need to take a step back, that's okay. You don't need to completely cut them off. However, if you feel like you need to let go of this person, you need to move on. The only way to move forward is by either cutting them off, diminishing contact. Find courage within yourself to do it. It might not be today, it might not be tomorrow, maybe next week, next few months. But please focus on you. You're important. You need to move forward. You need to grow. Don't let anyone diminish you, because you're still you at the end of the day. I know they want to control, manipulate, but you're still you, and you're still important. All right. So that was the insight that I wanted to give you guys, how it was for me. Again, this will be discussed a bit more in depth with a special guest. So stay tuned for that. I'm so excited. And you guys will hear her perspective and what she saw, what she thinks, and also her experiences. So I'm very excited for that, guys. All right. So recommendations is this week from Netflix, on Netflix. It's a show called It's Okay to Not Be Okay. It's an Asian drama I recently saw. I cried so much. It's about two brothers and a famous author and their journey in healing each other's emotional wounds and trauma. One of the brothers is on the spectrum, so as you guys know, this hits home for me and was appealing to my mama heart. So the brother on the spectrum witnesses their mom be murdered, and this leads to their lives of running away, and along the way, they cross paths with the famous author, and the story is so heartwarming. They face a lot of things together and face their darkest secrets, parts of their past. Again, I cried so much. It's such a wonderful show. It is complete. It is 16 episodes, and I highly recommend watching this on Netflix if you guys can. And if you do, let me know how it goes. And now for today's quote by Tiffany Haddish. It says, "Some days I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what I worked for, and I manifested it 10 years ago. I didn't know how I was going to get there, but I got here." Yes. This journey for me with navigating toxic relationships and my experience started about to be 12 years ago. And honestly, if you would have told me that at some point I was going to go no contact, that I was going to be very firm with my boundaries and where we're at today, I wouldn't call you crazy. I would honestly just be like, really? Just because where I was 12 years ago, being 17 years old, I wasn't sure. I wasn't aware of how much strength and resilience I had back then. So that's something I'm very thankful for. All right, everyone. Thank you all for tuning in to Settle Serenity. Keep seeking peace in every moment. And until next time, stay serene.